It makes the joy bells ring. It's the sweet song of redemption that the angels cannot sing. I'll tell it wherever I go, how he washed and he made me whole. And forever his praise I'll sing, because I know I'll sing that sweet song of redemption that the angels cannot sing. That sweet song of redemption.
Hey, you're on the Chuck Bryant Show today with me, and I've got a very special guest. It's not my normal interview. You know, I've had some of the greats on here, such as Charlie Daniels, Lacey J. Dalton, a lot of other great groups. But this one is one that when I started talking to her and listening to some of her YouTube videos that she sent over to me, she is, I would say, in the category, she is country. She may be a little bit, some of her songs may cross over into pop, but I put her there with Norah Jones. And the reason I say that is because she tells a story in each one of her songs. And it's kind of like if you go back to the early 2000s when Norah Jones was first getting started, that's what she did. And on the phone with me today is Bree. How you doing, girl?
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great. How about you?
Oh, I can't complain. If I did, somebody'd have to tell me I was doing wrong. But let me ask you a few questions here. Tell us a little bit about you.
Alrighty, so I'm Bree Kovach. I also go by Brittany. That's my real name, but I'm just Bree. You can call me Bree. So I'm originally from Houston, Texas, born and raised there. But back in 2009, I moved to Greenville, South Carolina. Love this place so much. It's music oriented, and that's one of the reasons why I got into music, just because if you let the music flow through you, it becomes part of you. So once I got into music programs back in middle school, that's pretty much where it all started. I was hooked immediately when I got started in orchestra. So that's basically why and where I started in my music life. But I'm an only child. Some fun facts about me, and I'm only child. Sometimes that's a good thing. Other times it does get kind of boring around here. But I can't really complain because I do love the attention. But yeah.
Well, I noticed that in looking at your profile a little bit, you won an award a couple years ago.
I did. I actually won a couple awards. So if some people who might know me might call me like a nerd or everything, but I won a couple awards for like school and academics and stuff. One of them was for perfect attendance, but I was back at Albernia Middle School.
Yeah.
And then I won a few other awards for some academic things. One award that really stood with me was one that I won back in my junior year of high school. And the reason why I earned that award was actually more of a social reason as well as academic reasons. So back in my junior year of high school, I used to wear different color wigs to school just because I wasn't necessarily ready to dye my hair another color, but I also wanted to enjoy like the freedom of having pink hair one day and green hair the next day. So I wear wigs to school, and of course, because it was high school, people used to tease me about it. They were like, "Oh, you're so weird. Nobody does that." But that's the whole point. Nobody does that except for me. And I kind of wanted to make it a more acceptable thing in society, especially in like high school, for people to wear wigs when they feel like it. Because I mean, there's no rule saying that we couldn't do it. But there's also some people who might actually need to wear wigs because, like, let's say they had cancer and they went through chemotherapy and they lost their hair. They need to wear a wig for that. Or let's say they just want to wear a wig just because, oh, I'm insecure about my actual hair. I just wanted to, like, make people feel more comfortable doing that kind of thing. So I went ahead and rolled with the punches and did it myself just so it can make it so people can do the same thing after I done it, just to get that out of the way. So I earned an award on that from, I believe, the governor of South Carolina at the time, which was really amazing. I was like so shocked. It was actually something that my counselor at the high school got together with the governor. And so one day in class, I was presented with the award, and I was like, "Oh wow, this is amazing!" So basically, that's the reason why I got the award, not only because of my academic successes, but also because of what I did with the wigs and being different in general, which is an important thing that I want people to do. I want them to be happy with being different and not worry about what other people have to say.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Uh,
Hmm.
did you win an award for your music?
Oh yes, I won a couple awards for my music. In fact, so speaking of which, I started music in middle school, like I said, but I also did music in high school. So during those years between middle school and high school, I used to do this thing called solo and ensemble, and basically that's where I took like a solo, like a classical piece to. Now sometimes they'll have it for the state, so I'll take it to the state and I'll practice it like crazy. Of course, like before then, when I take it there, I'll win superiors and stuff. So one year I actually prepared two viola pieces, one violin piece, and a duet, like little duet piece between me and a friend. And I got superiors for all of them. So I always enjoyed doing those kind of things just because like I always won like superiors for whenever I went out there and performed for them.
Okay. Well, I was. How many instruments do you play?
Oh my. All right, so let's see. Okay, so of course I play violin, viola.
Mm-hmm.
I also play guitar. I taught myself how to play guitar. I play a little bit of keyboard, piano. I play bass guitar, ukulele. I feel like I'm mandolin. That's right, mandolin. Yeah, that's probably why I forgot the other day. But there's a bunch of them. I'm trying to add on to my musical family, but I believe that's all I could play for right now, unless I'm missing something.
Well, there was a country artist
Mhm.
back from the '70s, and she was a great solo artist, and she sung with her sisters. And they wasn't an instrument she couldn't play. And you know who that was?
I believe so.
Barbara Mandrell
Oh
taught
wow.
taught herself how to play the steel guitar.
Oh wow, that's so cool.
And she also, I know that she played the banjo, the keyboard. I think there were like 6 or 7 units that she could play.
Oh, that's amazing. I would love to play banjo. I've always thought about doing that, but that is so cool.
Yeah, and so you notice the picture that I used was you with your violin,
Oh
and
yes.
and
Mhm.
one of my favorite artists that I interviewed him. I think it was back 5 or 6 months ago. It may have been a little bit longer. Was Charlie Daniels,
Oh my
and
gosh, I love him.
and this was right before he passed away.
Mhm.
And I was on the phone with him, and we talked about his music and stuff like that. But I was really impressed with the you play. Do you play all the instruments on your songs?
I do. So, believe it or not, on my Homesick album, this was actually working between me playing instruments and some people in the studio playing instruments. But after this whole COVID quarantine thing, I had to turn my bedroom into a studio. And so I had to start playing all the instruments myself. No biggie, though. It was actually a lot of fun, and I learned a lot. But yes, for right now, I'm playing all the instruments.
Well, this next song that we got coming up is called "Broken Bottle." Tell us a little bit about that.
All right, so for Brown Bottles, the
Brown
reason
Bottle.
why
I'm
I
sorry.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. So the reason why I wrote this song was because I actually had friends during high school and parts of college. I had friends who dealt with abusive, alcoholic parents and whatnot. And I actually had a relative who was an alcoholic. He wasn't abusive, but he was just a stone cold alcoholic. He was my uncle, but he was an excellent carpenter. He was an excellent mechanic, and he was bilingual. He was amazing. Like he could do all sorts of amazing things. He even made like this really cool chair that we have in our house. But instead of accepting cash for payment for his services, he accepted alcohol and at some point drugs. but he pretty much drank any kind of beverage he could get his hands on. And it changed him for the worse because he ended up homeless and then he ended up dying with Alzheimer's, which was really unfortunate because he was such a brilliant mind. But I also have friends who dealt with abusive alcoholic parents, and because of my personality kind, when someone tells me something sad or like they tell me about an unfortunate thing happening in their life, I change the way how I think to put myself in their shoes. So this song is the result of me trying to understand things from their point of view.
Okay. Well, let's take a listen to it.
Sorry.
There are bottles everywhere, and you act like you don't care. But truth be told, your soul was sold to the beverage of gold. I hear it when you speak, when your words all become weak. It is making my heart break. Oh, brown bottle shackled you. It started to chase you. You think that you're alright, but you just don't know what to do. Brown bottle shackled you. It started to chase you. I blame the fermented brew that turned my eyes so blue. When you're near, I hold my breath, 'cause you have me scared to death. You used to care, and now that's rare. Brown bottles everywhere. I miss your sober days before all this drunken rage. It is making my heart break. Oh, brown bottle shackled you. It started to chase you. I blame those boys at Jack Daniels and Stella Artois too. Brown bottle shackled you. It started to change you. I blame the fermented brew that turned my eyes so blue. Brown bottle shackled you. It started to change you. You have a family, wife, and kids who give a damn about you. Brown bottle shackled you. It started to change you. I blame the fermented brew that turned my eyes so blue. I blame the fermented brew that turned my eyes so blue.
Wow. How many instruments were you playing in this one?
Alrighty, so in Brown Bottles, I played the guitar, the mandolin, violin, and viola. Viola was at the beginning, and then violin kicked in. And bass guitar, bass guitar. I'm trying to remember. There was like a bunch, and I was like in a flurry on that day of recording. And I also did the clapping in there.
I thought it was one of the slapsticks. You know, the one that's got the
Oh,
stick,
yes,
and
sir.
you take it to your hand. I thought that's what that was. That was a good song. Real good song.
Thank you. Thank you.
And to let you know, my wife's dad died of alcohol poisoning.
Oh, I'm so
And
sorry.
and my grandfather, same thing. They call it cirrhosis of the liver. That's what they
Oh,
call
yeah.
it. And my grandfather was 49 years old when he passed, and my wife's father died at the same age,
I'm
and both
so
of it
sorry.
died. Well, you know what? It happens when you hang on to the bottle. It does, and I mean, I loved my grandfather, and I know my wife loved her dad because she talks about, and I talk about my grandfather all the time. But that's another story for another day. But anyway, what next song do you want to play?
I have no idea. There's a bunch of them. Oh my goodness.
Christina.
Oh yes, we can do that one.
All right.
That was a fun song.
Well, tell us about it.
So that one's actually about my guitar. So I have a thing because I'm a music dork. I name all of my instruments, which is actually not that bad of a thing. It's actually a really cute thing. But this one's about my acoustic guitar, Christine. I wrote this song back when I was in high school because that's actually when I got her. It was back in my senior year of high school. And I noticed that whenever I come home from school and I feel happy or feel sad or angry, I always was writing a new song to describe how I feel and to capture those emotions. So whenever I wrote a song, I always pulled out my trusty little guitar, Christine. So I pretty much had to write a song about her just because she was there through all those times I was happy, I was sad, just even bored a little bit. I'll even like play around on the guitar when I'm bored. So I had to write a song about what got me where I am today with my music.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and take a listen to it.
All right.
All right, let's do this. You speak a language only I can't understand. Can't imagine not having you in my hands. There are times when I'm down, I go to you and I start to think, oh my God, there's a feeling that I can't even explain. Oh, Christine, you're musing a glorious sound. Feel the air around. Oh, Christine, your beauty, voice that's so serene. Oh, my dear Christine. I got burdens that are troublesome to express, but it seems as though you always can explain them best. There are times when I'm down, I go to you and I start to think, oh my God, there's a feeling that I can't even explain. Oh, Christine, you're musing a glorious sound. Feel the air around. Oh,
Now, how many instruments did you play in this one?
So I actually just play guitar because that was part of my Homesick album where I was performing it alongside some other musicians in the studio.
Okay. Wow, pretty good. All right,
Thank you.
the next song that we're going to play is Gone. Tell us a little bit about that song.
So Gone is actually about lost love, or it could be about like lost relationship with like a family member. Basically, I wrote this song partly because of a crush I had back in high school. I don't know, it was pretty dorky of me, but I wrote this song because I had a crush on this guy, and I wanted to make my move, but I was so nervous,
Yeah.
like I didn't know what to say or how to say it. But I eventually like I met him over when I was taking like violin lessons, viola lessons over at the Fine Arts Center, and that was also where he was going. But I eventually stopped taking lessons over there just because my schedule got too busy. And so as a response, I wrote this song because, oh, I'm so sad. Now he's gone. But in all reality, this song could also be applied to a lost family member because I also think about my cousin who I lost back a few years ago just because of some stuff that was happening. But I also think about her because she has two kids, and that song can also be applied to them because, oh, she's gone now, and I haven't had a chance to tell her how much I loved her. And that can be applied to that. It can be applied to a relationship, really anything. So it's just about lost love in general.
Okay, let's take a listen to it.
Time to time I think of you and my heart won't let go. Now you are gone. Now you are gone. All my time was running out. Now my heart is dying out. Now you are gone. Now you are gone, my love. All the time I wasted, I could have been thinking about how I could tell you how I really felt about you this whole time. Time to time I think of you and my heart won't let go. Now you are gone. Now you are gone. All my time was running out. Now my heart is dying out. And now you are gone. Now you are gone, my love. Got to keep on living. Got to train my heart to stop thinking about you. And I know that it will be hard, but I don't need to cry 'cause I know I'll be healed soon. Time to time I think of you and my heart won't let go. Now you are gone. Now you are gone. All my time was running out. Now my heart is dying
Now I'm picturing you in a cafe or
Hmm.
maybe one of those lounges that allow to have artists come in. You're sitting up there on a stool. You got the microphone and you got your little band with you. That's where I see that song at.
Oh, thank you. I'll make sure to keep that in mind. Hopefully, when things completely open up, I can probably consider doing that.
Well, the picture that that I'm seeing with this song, Bree, is that
Hmm.
you're sitting at Imagine the Friends show. I know you've seen that,
Hmm.
and you remember the blonde that done that. I can see you sitting up there in front of a cafe and people coming in and listening to you play, or family and friends come in to hear you play in a little cafe.
Hmm.
That sounds pretty cool. I just I
Thank you so much.
that's that and that song. And like what I was telling you earlier, you're different as an artist because normally I interview country artists and I interview Southern gospel and Christian and country artists, and I have interviewed a couple of rock stars before. But your music is different, and I mean, like I said, it goes towards Nora Jones, but you're telling a story inside of a song that probably inspired you to sing that song.
Yes, sir. Hmm.
So, I mean, tell us a little bit more about your background in music.
Well, a fun fact that I love to share with everybody. One of my uncles was actually the last original member of the Duke Ellington Orchestra, and he was one of my major reasons why I got into music. Unfortunately, he passed away before I joined the orchestra in my middle school. But even before then, he's been talking a lot about making me learn the trumpet or the saxophone or just get involved in music, like get out there with music. But after he passed away, I decided that hey, maybe I should join the orchestra for his like name,
Yeah.
just because I know that's what he would have wanted for me. Also, my grandma played the piano in church, and also random like members of my family also played musical instruments. I know my dad played saxophone at one point. My mom also played, and I also have friends who were in the orchestra with me or in band with me. And I was also influenced by artists out there, some favorite artists of mine. So that's pretty much why I had to go ahead and go do that musical calling.
Well, I'll tell you, I love music. I love all kinds of music. I spent in my high school days when we used to live in New Orleans, and I used to go
Mhm.
down to the French Quarter, and I used to go down to places like that and listen to them. One of my favorite things was when we lived down there was to go down to the by the river, and you would always hear these people playing the trumpet, playing the drums that makes that bonging sound, and they just go down there and just jam. Now, to me, that's the greatest thing in the world.
Mhm.
So when I got the chance, I joined the high school band. I couldn't play an instrument. Tried to play the guitar, tried to play the trumpet, tried to play the drums. I just not musical talented, but I could carry the flag. And for 37 parades, I got to go through Mardi Gras. And in battle and competition and everything else, our high school won 3 competitions per year. And my thing was listening to the other bands as you're walking down the road and hearing the instrument of the high school marching band. And I was
Mhm.
always a big fan of the marching band. And when I got to do it myself, because what took me to it was hearing all the old greats from Ohio State to LSU to South Carolina, and some of the ones which you could go back and they had the old albums to them that of the marching band. And one of my biggest orchestra gentlemen that I love so much to listen to is Henry Mancini. Now we are going back years for him because he had an album out called Henry Mancini Marching 67. And that album of the trumpets and the saxophones and the clarinets and the all the instruments that he could get in there, it was such an amazing sound. And
That's so cool.
and living in Louisiana, you got the Bayou music to where, besides having the great Louis Armstrong or listening to Fats Domino or somebody like that, because these people played down around New Orleans all the time. Pete Fountain, some of the greats from the 70s and 80s. It's pretty cool. This next song that we got coming up called Homesick. What was the grounds for writing this song?
That's so neat. Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing that. That's amazing.
Not a problem. So tell us about Homesick.
All right, so Homesick's one song that really hits home for me, no pun intended. But I wrote that song because this is actually taken from all the emotions that I've been keeping up inside of me since I've moved from Houston to Greenville. So I always have missed Houston, but I think those feelings really started coming out when my aunt, who lived in Houston, was diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. And to begin with, I lost a lot of influential, meaningful people in my family throughout my life, and she was actually one of my most supportive aunts. And upon hearing that news, I realized life's nothing to be taken for granted, So I started immediately feeling homesick, not only because I missed living there, but I also missed the people who lived there. So I wrote that song not only because, I miss living there and doing all the things I used to do when I lived there, but I also wrote it because I miss my aunt, I miss my grandparents, I miss my uncle, and I wish I could see them again. In fact, this was my aunt's favorite song, the one who had cancer. This was her favorite song, and I performed it at her funeral. And the reason why I even released the album was because I know that's what she would have wanted from me, because we were going to release it before she passed on, but just because school and some other things happened, that wasn't able to be fulfilled. But I still got it out there, and I know that she'll be proud of me.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and take a listen to it.
Some days the window is my friend. I just look out and see the passing forest end. Some days my past is like the clouds. They're there until now, and my nostalgia gets so loud. Oh, oh, oh. And all these things
listening to the song takes me back to my days when I lived down in Louisiana, especially living down where I lived, and just listening to it, and getting listening to some of the great people down there that played music. Wasn't about money. It wasn't about anything. They just loved to play the music.
Mhm.
So it's a pretty good song.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it does bring a lot of memories and a lot of feelings back. I have to admit, sometimes when I listen to the song, I do cry.
Oh yeah, I was sitting there listening to it, and I was remembering, like what we was talking about earlier about going down to the French Quarter and across from the moon, the landing, what they call the moon landing, or they used to call it that, there on the riverfront, and you had all kinds of people sitting down there. Somebody be playing the guitar, somebody be playing the drums, the boom boom, the sounds where it's like I don't know what they call them. They got like a barrel type thing that goes down, and they hit the certain
Oh yeah.
things, and it makes a different sound. I don't know what they call it.
Uh huh. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I
A-
got it. Mhm.
and hear that sound. And I mean, living in South Carolina, it's a lot of country, a lot of gospel in the area, gospel country, and all that. And living in Houston, it's a little faster pace, just like it is in New Orleans. And when you move up here, it's like, okay, where's everything at that I used to have?
Yeah.
So I we left Louisiana in '84, and we moved up here, and it was a real shock to me from going to a big city like New Orleans, going to a city like Chattanooga. And
Oh yeah.
I love Chattanooga. Don't get me wrong, love Chattanooga. Um, Wound up moving down to Fort Myers and moving to St. Pete back in the start of the 20s, and 2001. There's it's all kinds of cultures in Florida that play music. But getting back to the roots and everything of where you started your music career and everything else, I can see how homesick you could be.
Yes. Mhm.
Now, on your profile that I seen on LinkedIn, you won something from iHeartRadio.
I do. Yes. So I also have my music playing on this radio station called American Busker on iHeartRadio. And the woman who owns this is actually going to be creating a reality show, and I'm going to be a contestant on there in the near future. So I'm really excited about all of that. It's going to be so new to me, and I cannot wait to see where that goes. Because honestly, I think that's a big milestone for someone like me. Because I'm just little old Bree, but I think that's really cool because it teaches me like all sorts of new lessons about life, and I can even tell that story when I have kids, maybe.
Well, I mean, it's a great opportunity because like I said, I was looking on your profile, top 10 state finalists, national, um America Miss 2013,
Oh,
and
yes, yes.
so
Hmm.
you see, you're leaving out a lot of stuff in an interview.
Oh, yes, because that National American Miss thing was a pageant I did back when I was a kid. That was so much fun. I'm actually considering on doing it maybe next year.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been entertaining that thought a lot because I've been looking at it again, just thinking, okay, well, now that I'm older and I know a little more, I might be able to take my knowledge now and apply it to if I were to do it again, like next year.
Oh. Well, this has been, like I said, this has been a totally different interview, and I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed listening to your testimony and listening to your songs.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to hear that.
And I'm glad you reached out to me and introduced yourself because something told me to go to LinkedIn the other night, and I was just sitting there and I seen where you'd messaged me, and I started looking at some of your stuff. I went over to YouTube and I listened to, I think it was Brown Bottle, and I
Mhm.
listened to something else. I forget what it was, but uh, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
I'll be sitting there one afternoon, and I'll see you on the Grand Ole Opry, or I'll see you, you know, in an orchestra or something. You got a lot of great talent.
Thank you so much. I'll definitely make sure to keep up with the music because right now I am a pre-med student. I'm going for, I love to do neurology. I'm
Right.
thinking either a neurosurgeon, maybe just a neurologist, but I cannot imagine just cold turkey quitting music. I cannot because that's a part of me. And plus, that's my best method of expressing myself and telling stories and telling other people's stories even.
Well, the thing about it is I'm in medical too. I do medical security at the hospital, and I work for Advent Health. That
That's
is
so cool.
over in and it's in Chatsworth, Georgia. It's a little bitty town that's part of the Cherokee Nation. That used to be where the Cherokee Nation went before they did the Trail of Tears. It started right there. But anyway, it's great to be in the medical field. I really enjoy working for the hospital. I've been doing hospital security probably for about 4 years now,
Oh,
and
wow.
and I've been doing security since '94. So I just I'm a where you were talking. I'm a computer nerd. I love anything to do with technology, and I
Me
I,
too.
I,
I am
I
much obliged.
I stay in debt biggest part of the time but one thing was I got involved in radio. It was not something I was looking for, just something happened. And with my testimony, it's where the Lord had led me to start a radio station. So we started several radio stations. And now I just work behind the scenes and I do these interviews and stuff like that. And I really enjoy getting to talk to artists and getting to know their background. And we'll have you back on, I'm sure, soon. And because once you do an interview with me, I've got people that's done 3 or 4 interviews with me. As they go on to do new projects, we like to get it out to radio and stuff. So keep me in mind for it.
Oh, yes, definitely. And you know what? You're doing a fantastic job. And I think that's really cool that you enjoy the radio business and doing like computer stuff because my boyfriend's actually the same way. He actually has a little bit of radio experience
Yeah,
from back his college days because he was over his college radio. And
right.
I've been trying to convince him to start a podcast on Spotify or something because he's really good at what he does. And he has a media job right now at a church, so he's really good at what he does.
Well, we spend a lot of time. I not only involved in just radio. I've got something like 20 internet radio stations,
Oh,
and
that's awesome.
I call that a God thing. We play Southern gospel, country gospel. I've got a classic rock station, and I got a classic country station.
Oh yes, gotta
And
love the classic rock.
oh yeah, and so I got into this, and God's allowed me to do what I like to do.
Amen.
And I love doing the interviews because, like I said, you get to talk to people, and it's my outlet. My wife is completely disabled, and I take care of her, and I work and I do the radio stuff. I don't really, outside of, I may go to some gospel concerts and concerts that I'm a part of, but I also do internet TV too. I got 2 Roku channels,
That's
and
so cool.
I just love doing it. This next song that is going to be the last song, but hang on just one second. Hey, you're listening to the Chuck Bryant Show exclusively on the WOTG Radio Network, and we, for the last hour, it's been a blast, and doing this interview with this artist, a lady that can play several different instruments, and you can hear it in one of her songs where she played just about every instrument in there, and it was awesome. And this interview is it's been a great experience in doing it because normally I do Southern gospel, Christian country, and we've in the last couple of weeks we've been tailoring out a little bit to more to men's mainstream artist, and this lady today has just been an awesome to have us on the show today on the Chuck Bryant Show. And we got one last song that we're going to be talking with Bree about. And I want you to listen to the lyrics of this song because I I told her in the beginning when we started this, to me, she's more of a storyteller, kind of just like Nora Jones. And her experience that she's had in her life and the music and the stuff of each one of these songs, it's a storytelling song. Kind of reminds me back of the days of Tom T. Hall when, he talked about watermelon wine or sneaky snake. It's a song that has a story. And today, we need that, especially during this time of COVID-19, to have an artist that will bring something out, especially, some of her songs that she's done today, from talking about the brown bottle, somebody dealing with alcoholism, that needs to hear that. It might be the song that might turn them around. Christine talking about her guitar, and so many more. So this last song is called Lost, and Bree, tell us a little bit about that.
So, kind of like Homesick, Lost focuses mainly, like primarily, on the loss of loved ones. Now, I know the entire album, except for Christine, is pretty much focused on that, just because I believe family is important. I believe friends are important. I believe love is important. But Lost is really just about, this is really focusing on all the people in my life who I've lost, my family members, my aunts, my grandparents, my uncles, because I lost quite a few of them. And I just wanted to write a song to just, bring out those emotions and those things that I feel. And it even helped me find God, because during those times I felt so lost. I felt lost. I didn't know what to think. I didn't think I had purpose anymore, because all the ones who supported me seemed to be like dropping off one by one. And I didn't know why. I thought it was my fault at some point. And then I just, I turned against God after a while, which was really unfortunate, because this is actually something to help me become stronger, so I can see the value within myself. But at the time, I wrote this song because I felt lost. I felt like I couldn't go anywhere to let anyone know how I feel, because I didn't feel like anyone was really there. But I eventually found him, so I wrote this song to pretty much encapsulate all those feelings and the lessons that I've learned.
All right, well, let's go ahead and listen to Lost.
These past years I lost the ones who mattered.
And we've been on the phone for the last hour with Miss Bree, and I see you going far with what you do, whether it's in the medical field or your music. Never give up your music. You still there?
I am. I'm here.
Just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
It's been an honor to have you on the Chuck Bryant Show and Friends. And
Hi, thank you so much. Thank you for interviewing me.
not a problem. Tell us where we can get a hold of your music at.
So you can find me on not only YouTube, but Apple Music, Google Play Music. I'm not sure if they're like still going to be a thing though, because I was hearing some stuff going on about them. But pretty much any major music streaming platform you can find me, especially Spotify.
Nice. And if we wanted to get you for a concert or a special booking or something, how can we get a hold of you in the Carolinas?
You can also find me on Instagram. So my Instagram is, I have two. So my personal is Bree._.Kovach, Kovach. And my other Instagram is The Real Bree Music.
Cool. Well, hold on just 1 second, okay? Hey, you've been listening to the Chuck Bryant Show here on the WOTG Radio Network and Chuck Bryant and Friends. It has been an honor to have Miss Bree on the phone with us today. And, hey, if you're over in the Carolinas, look her up. She's a great artist, and she being from over there around Greenville, she's not far from Atlanta. So if you're down in Atlanta or you're over in the Carolinas, and especially around Columbia, South Carolina, or any parts in that, and you need an artist to fill in or something, give her a call. She'll be more than glad to help you. You've been listening to the Chuck Bryant Show exclusively on the WOTG Radio Network. Until next time, guys, y'all keep it. Tell somebody how much you like their music and help them out. We'll talk to you again the next time on the Chuck Bryant Show and Friends.